Good evening, and you're welcome back to a new season of the Business and Enterprise Show. Still Ireland's only live web-based business TV programme with over 2 million views throughout the world. And as always, we're still coming to you live from our studios here in the Cavan Crystal Hotel on the Dublin Road in Cavan. Now, we've had many guests over the years. A lot of them have had services. A lot of them have been involved in technology. Very few guests have had a practical product. However, tonight we're changing that. My guest is Liam O'Meara, and Liam is from the Cutting Globe. Liam, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Colm, and thank you for supporting small enterprise as well. Thank you.
Good. Before we start off talking about the Cutting Globe, tell us a little about Liam O'Meara.
Yeah, Liam O'Meara. Liam O'Meara is from Dublin. He's from the north side of Dublin, a place called Coolock. He left Dublin. We left school in Dublin around 85, and I worked for 2 years for the Department of Justice. Found that wasn't really what I wanted to do, so I headed off on the ferry and headed over to London. Done an awful lot of retail over there, opened up my own shop then towards the end, sold that, decided then to go back here to this beautiful country, to a lovely place called Kilconnell, just outside Ballinasloe, County Galway, and I opened up my own garden centre and nursery. And on top of doing a bit of landscaping as well, that's where I am to this day.
Had you a background in landscape gardening? Had you a background in running a nursery?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, as a young teenager, myself and brother were sent over to London. My uncle had a fairly half-decent landscaping business over there in Surrey, and we were sent over then as kids every summer, to go and to do a lot of landscaping and learn the trade. Absolutely.
I would imagine landscaping in Surrey, and then to come back and try landscaping in rural Galway, it was probably a different setup.
Massive difference. A lot drier over there. Different types of soils. Different types of plant growths. Everything. So yeah, totally different. But again, a great experience to come back here then to challenge yourself. More than anything else, which is what I'm all about. Yeah.
So you're running a landscape business. You're running a nursery. Two business that will keep you busy. Hopefully, they will keep you busy. But yet you saw a problem, and instead of the typical Irish way of dealing with it, to see a problem, just grumbling and moaning that somebody should do something about it, you saw an issue, and you developed what eventually turned into the Cutting Globe.
Yes, we had two really, really bad winters. I think it was 2010, 2011.
Only two?
Well, absolutely, well, many, but two that we can, really, really bad. And we lost an awful lot of stock in the garden centre. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to try and bring in a more mature plant from existing plants that we already had back into the garden centre. So within a space of 6 to 8 weeks that I already had a plant that was worth putting into a pot, come 2 or 3 weeks later, was sellable on the shelf. We've all learned how to do what we call air layering, which is a practice that's been around for about 4,000 years. It's a way of propagating, but it was too slow. It was too clumsy. We used to use hessian cloths with pieces of string, and even the birds would come, they'd pick the string away, the whole thing would fall apart some 6 weeks later when you've just about had that lovely root system. So it wasn't workable. So we came up and we devised what we have here today, which is called a Cutting Globe. It comes in 3 sizes, and they're reusable over and over and over again.
They come in a pack like this?
They do. That's what we call our starter pack or our multi-pack.
I think we took a shot of one earlier. We might take a look at it on the screen there, and you might talk us through. This is the retail packet. Now, that one there that is the medium one. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it's full with some black stuff, which I assume is compost or clay.
Yes, that's right. That's a compost. And
is that roots developing?
Yeah, that is the root system. That
root
is your root
system coming out of the side of a branch.
Yeah, we are actually growing plants on plants. That is your new root system for your new plant, and that takes about 6 to 8 weeks for that to happen. At that stage, you should be able to cut that plant underneath the ball, and you should have a new plant which is already about maybe 2 or 3 years old, especially with the medium globe. It's already 2 or 3 years old.
So There are two halves of the globe. One is clear, one is red.
Yes.
Okay, so you fill it with your compost. Any particular compost, or just what you have lying around?
Absolutely, it doesn't make any difference at this stage because the mother plant is still doing all the work.
Yeah.
So it's still attached to the mother plant, and the mother plant is still doing all the work. So at this stage, no, it doesn't make much of a difference.
Okay, so I have my 2 pieces of a globe.
Yeah.
I have a little container of compost. There's one, and I see a nice little branch I want to. Not cut now, but eventually cut.
Yes.
What's my next step?
Okay, what we do is we'll approach that branch and we'll take a piece of that bark off all the way around. So we'll do 2 slits, about 1 inch apart. We'll slice it down. We'll remove that bark completely all the way around. And the most important part of this is just underneath that bark is what we call the cambium layer. That's the green stuff. You've often gone up to a tree, scraped the side of it to see if it was still alive. So that cambium. So we've got to remove that cambium. So at the back of the knife, you just scrape it off. 9 times out of 10, it comes off with the bark anyway.
Yeah.
But just give it a little scraping all the way around. Paste it with a hormone powder, or if you don't have any of that lying around, a natural honey will do the very same thing. Then you get your cutting globe. You already have it filled now on both sides with a nice bit of compost, nice and wet when it goes on first, and you just clamp it around the wound. Walk away. Come back.
When you say colour, you'll say my fingers are not green, except when I'm painting. If we're looking at a piece of electric cable, you're taking the insulating away, and you're left with, for want of a better word, what carries the juice.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's what you want. That's what you want exposed. So you take the bark and what was that other layer?
The cambium. The cambium layer.
Most times it comes away
with the bark.
But if it doesn't, you just kind of scrape it off. So you have not raw roots. What would be the center of a tree?
Well, you've got 2 inner layers inside there then as well, which actually brings the fluids from the root system straight up to the top. Yeah. What we're trying to do is, in layman's
terms,
terms,
tapping into that.
We're bringing down. We're trying to convert or to try and stop the photosynthesis from coming right down to the root system, from the sap coming down and feeding those roots. Yeah. So we've stopped it by removing the cambium. We've stopped it. Now we've placed our globe, filled it with our moss peat around. That sap has to go somewhere. Yeah, it's looking for moisture. So what it does is it creates a callus, a wound, a wart all the way around. And it's from that wart that all these lovely little roots start to appear, looking for moisture from your cutting globe.
Now, if you have a cutting globe on a branch, that is, we'll say, sucking the nutrients out. Will that affect the branches above it?
No, not at all. No. It's not even looking for nutrients now at this stage. Nutrients will be coming from the roots up through the tree. Yeah. So the actual tree itself is still feeding that beautiful plant. It's only what we've stopped is all the juices coming from the photosynthesis from the leaves down to the actual roots itself. Yeah. So
when we looked at there was a bigger one.
That's the big one. That's the medium one.
That was the medium. I beg your pardon. There's a little dinky one. It looks like. I think we might have one coming up there. Yeah, we do. Yeah. I suppose it's kind of hard to tell from there, but that is no more than an inch diameter.
Very good. That is exactly an inch. Yes, absolutely. That's one that comes in 2 halves. That's on a hinge that actually just clips together. Yeah. So they're very, very easy to use. Don't forget these are washable and reusable then over and over again. That one will give you enough root system that will take, say, a piece of your shrub or rose bush or climber or whatever, which will probably be about maybe a foot long, which in other words will probably be about a year's growth. Yeah, so it's probably a year old by the time we cut that off. Yeah. And it takes about 6 weeks then for that to happen then as well.
So before we did that, we cut a cutting off the plant, stuck it in the ground, and we were starting from scratch.
Absolutely. But
by using the globe, you're giving yourself, in some cases, a 3-year advantage.
Oh yes, absolutely, yes. And that has other advantages then as well. The likes of a hydrangea, which if you take a cutting off a hydrangea, it would actually take 2 to 3 years before it actually flowers. But with the cutting globe, you're actually taking that gene with it, and it'll actually flower in the first year then as well. Yeah. Another example of that would be a wisteria. Wisteria actually takes up to 7 years from cutting to flower, whereas with the cutting globe you can actually take that gene and it'll actually flower with it for you the next year then as well. Yeah.
So you run your nursery and you saw this is a great way of getting extra plants from the plants that I have.
Yes.
But you then said, well, actually as a product
Yes.
It's excellent.
Yes.
When did that reality, or was that the plan from word go?
It wasn't the plan from word go, now, to be honest with you. And what happened there was I had all these lovely little globes hanging all over the nursery, and people were coming in and they were inquisitive and they were asking and they were saying, God, get me one. I'd love one. I'd love one. And at that stage, I knew, and a good friend, the neighbour across the road then as well, we knew we had a product. We knew we had a product to sell then as well. So we went in trying to find a company that would specialise and make one specially designed for us.
So what had you been using before that?
Again, we were using the remains of tennis balls. We were using the remains of every ball that the kids played with out in the garden, to be honest. Yeah. And we'd cut out rings, and we'd fill the inner part of it then with the plastic off a polytunnel, because we knew that the plastic of the polytunnel will have a UV reflective in it, so when the beautiful roots actually came to the surface of the ball, that they wouldn't actually be scorched off. Yeah. So all these globes are made out of UV plastic.
But again, so this isn't just straightforward plastic that's in
No. This is they're actually there's a special UV plastic in it, same plastic that your polytunnels are made out of, and that will reflect the ultraviolet away from it, and it'll stop that scorching effect from happening. The red side is for facing towards the sun. Yeah. So on the branch, if your branch was 45 degrees, you actually have the red part on top. And the reason for that is, if you have a clear ball, and you fill it with a wet compost, after about 6 to 8 weeks, that whole ball will become a full ball of algae. All the green will all appear because of the heat and your water and so forth. The whole thing will just become an algae ball, and that'll affect your root system. So by placing the red on top, it'll give it enough shade, to stop all that algae from building up. So when you cut it off and you open up your ball, you will have a lovely ball of roots with your organic compost, wherever you have.
Yeah. So we have this fantastic product. It works because you know it works.
Yes.
The principle behind it, as you said, is centuries old.
Yes, absolutely.
You have developed it into a user-friendly process. I have this great product. Now, how do I find a market? How do I know it's going to work? How do I know it's going to sell? How do I know people are going to buy? What was the process that you went from? Okay, we used balls around the nursery, but now we've realised this is a saleable product, and we want to take it to the next step. How did you do that?
Okay. First of all, we had to look at pricing. We had to look at we knew people were interested, because people who were coming into the nursery, had looked, and they had interest in it. So we knew we had interest. We had to have a price for it. Yeah. So what we actually did is we actually went down to one of our local GAA fundraisers. Yeah. And we put out a stall, plants and globes and whatever, and we just packaging that was off the back of a photocopier, and we just some simple instructions, and I sat there for the day. I hadn't got a price in my head. I had certain price in my head, but I was a bit flexible on the price in the beginning. But as people came over, and as people seen what I was doing, and as I was demonstrating it, people were, I had a price on the thing. I was willing to come down on the price and whatever in the beginning, but people were willing to give me that €5 per packet, and I knew then that was the right price for that particular product.
So am I right in saying, and correcting me if I'm wrong,
yes,
you got your start, your product got off the ground as a dub in a Galway GAA club?
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't have done that this week.
It's a slightly different ball game, but
so you realise, right, people are prepared to pay this price. I'm making, if I can sell enough of them, I'll make a good margin of them. So obviously, use the kids' tennis balls was no longer a runner. You had to find a supplier who could make them to your specifications.
Yes, and that was hard to do. And we rang and we emailed, and plus at this stage now, we had to try and get some security over the product then as well. So what we had to do is we had to get our designs right. At this stage we were heading towards the patent office. That wasn't a problem. So we had to ring, we had to ask people over the phone, would they, or if they had a product that was on the shelf already, and would they be willing to put a UV in through the plastic. And eventually, after about, I'd say about 4 or 5 months, ringing exhausted, one guy called Mark over in the UK said yes, he would be willing to do it, and he would run off a batch of a certain number for us first of all, and see how you get on with them. Yeah, so he was the only one. He put an awful lot of faith into us, because he would have had to change his machines and, you know, his quantities and whatever, you know, for this particular product. You know, so we were delighted with it. The only thing was that we were when they did arrive, we had to put them together. That we actually had to pre-drill the holes then as well. Yeah. So next step.
It's amazing what you say there. You know, like, I've come up with this idea. Right, I just need somebody to make them. You know, that'll take a week, I'd say, just to get someone to do that.
Yeah,
and suddenly you're trying to explain something on the phone. I said it in emails.
Yeah.
And 4 months later, people who are in the business of making the raw materials and stuff like that are saying, "No, we don't want that business." You know, when you come up with an idea, the kind of roadblocks that are put in your way are incredible.
Unreal. You know, and you know we have a product. You know it's selling. You know what you got. You know, there's a future to the product. You know, but you just want that one guy to have that belief in you, and Mark had that belief in us. You know, so it was great. Then from that point, then you know, we were rolling. Then, you know, within, I'd say, about maybe another 2 weeks after that, our first assignment had arrived at the doors of Kilconnell Garden Centre, and we were ready for drilling and packing. You know. At that stage, then we had to go out cold calling, knocking on doors. Don't forget, nobody knew nothing about this product. We probably had a few pictures up on the Facebook account and so forth, you know, which was unreal. And a lot of the other garden centres who would have been competition to myself, you know, actually took on the product then as well. So we were delighted. Now,
of course, you know, it was solving a real problem. It was creating, effectively, without making you sound like gods, you were creating new life.
Yes.
You know, and I'm sure to yourself you were saying, this is just going to fly off the shelf. Every door I'm going to knock, people will want it. Did you find that? Because we've all gone out with our products and our shiny folders and knocked on door, thinking we had the greatest thing to slice pan to sell.
Yes.
And then they go, can't see it working.
And
away you go. After 10 of them, you get a bit discouraged.
Yeah.
Except you had a consignment of them in the garden centre.
Yeah. But don't forget, now I've been in business now for the last 20, nearly 30 years now at this stage. You know, between the household and hardware shop over in London and the garden centre here, so I know how to sell, and I know what people's reactions are going to be, and I know, and I've been let down several times over a lot of things, you know, over the last 30 years. So but I know you have to have that determination. You really do have that determination to go out and push it. You have to have the belief in the product then as well. You know, if you don't have that, you're not going to go anywhere. And
but the very fact that you've seen it work.
Yeah.
In fact, you made it work.
Yes.
You know, so you have the ultimate. This isn't a sales agent coming along and saying, I'll sell them for you. What do they do? Something with plants, I'll knock on. You haven't developed it, but seen it work.
Yes. But that's why as well, and all the guys, we went out and we done the ploughing championship in the September of last year. That was our first big outing out. Yeah, we done phenomenal. For a product that nobody knew, there was no airing, there was no television, there was no radio stations now at this time, nothing. You know, we done absolutely, we sold out. You know, and we were delighted coming home. Two men coming home that particular evening, absolutely fantastic. You know, so we knew we had a product. Yeah. So that gives you that extra bit of belief then as well. You know, but to carry it through to convince other people. But what we do as well is everybody that's involved with the cutting globe, regardless of who they are, every one of them, a bit like Mr. Dyson, they all have to know how to use them. Everybody that's involved has to put one on a plant, has to have their own little baby, has to be able to cut it off and plant it. You know, so they do get involved, and they do become addictive after a while, to be honest with you.
So great, we had a big sellout in the ploughing championship. Lots of people saw it.
Yeah.
Sometimes a two-edged sword. All of a sudden you realise, well, do we go back now and make 10,000 of them?
Yeah.
What was the next step after the ploughing champion, where you realise, okay, this, in the right circumstances, can sell a lot?
Okay. At this stage, although we had been to the ploughing, and ploughing was absolutely phenomenal, we actually knew from a customer of ours, Bruno Nicolai, a great horticulturist down in Cork. He was invited onto a Sky TV program called Show Me Our Garden. He had actually went on and won the program, but we weren't, although we knew about it, we weren't allowed to tell anybody. Yeah, so we had to wait until it was aired in February, before we could actually say anything to anybody. But we knew it wasn't just because of the Cutting Globe now, because he is a fantastic horticulturist and he has a fantastic garden.
You did help him though.
But his little sort of party piece at the end of it, to do propagation, he put on the Cutting Globe, which was phenomenal. So when that went off in, I think it was February, we had 17,000 hits, mostly from the UK.
Brilliant,
within a period of 3 to 4 days.
Yeah.
You know, so, and that went on for weeks afterwards then as well. We were getting a lot of sales in.
Yeah.
You know, we knew our online sales were working now at this stage then as well. You know, that was phenomenal then as well. So that was our second piece, you know. At that stage then, we're pushing then on Facebook, we're pushing on Twitter, we're pushing everywhere. Yeah, so it was actually easier to get the next, say, 10 garden centres then involved. They were actually ringing us up then as well, saying we've seen it on the TV, whatever, so it actually makes it easier.
And those who didn't ring you, when you did knock on the door, oh yes, I've seen that.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't a complete, not only do I have to tell you what it does, I have to tell you about us, and I have to explain everything. And whereas once you became branded, I suppose, and yet you got two great exposure, apart from selling to, I don't know how many you sold in at the Ploughman Championship, you were exposed to guts of 100,000 people, you know.
Oh yes, easy.
And then Sky, you were then exposed to maybe, I don't know what their viewership had, certainly a million anyway.
Oh yeah, yes.
So 2 million people who would be interested in it, you know, because you're only going to look at the gardening program if you're interested in gardening and you want something new for your garden and you want something and there's this fantastic idea.
Well, see, that was the beauty of it. They were, and people were looking for it. They were going into garden centres. Jones's Garden Centre out in Donaghbate rang us, you know, within a week. You know, what is this Cutting Globe thing? You know, can you send us down a package? Send us on your wholesale price list. You know, they were one of the first ones that came on board after the Sky One event then as well, which was fantastic then as well. Which made it easier then again to knock on doors and other garden centres to say, well, Joneses are selling them. You know, so if Jones, and they're doing very well with them. You know, so Malahide then kicked in, and Holt Garden Centre then has them then as well. Yeah.
They're all north side of Dublin. You can't beat it. They look after them all. So a lot of your marketing that you seem to be doing seems to be marketing you're doing with no monetary cost. Yeah, there's a lot of hard work goes into knocking on doors. There's a lot of hard work goes into updating your Facebook, updating your Twitter,
and your website,
and all that. But you're not. You don't have a
we have £100,000
advertising
not
budget.
at all. Nobody, no, absolutely no. And we have done, and people have said it to us. It's been phenomenal the amount of success we're getting out of your Facebook, your Twitter, your business to business email. You know, it's amazing what you can actually do when if you put the time and effort into it. You know, and there's great people out there. Sam from Irish Business, I think you've interviewed her here then as well. You know, she's phenomenal with Twitter, and I do be on Galway Hour, and I do be on Cavan Hour, and Dublin Hour, and all those sorts of things. You know, but it's time consuming, and the kids be running around and they need things done or whatever. And I said, no, Daddy's on Galway Hour tonight, whatever.
And like, there's no doubt about it. Social media and that does work.
It does work.
Unfortunately, I'm not sure what way to pull it. A lot of people think that by being on Facebook, by being on Twitter, they're not spending time in their business. But in reality, it is as important being on Facebook, spreading the word as it is being out in the workshop, packing and putting labels on. Absolutely,
it's just as important. I get up, I do 2 hours in the morning, and I try to get 2 hours in the evening, regardless. You know, Facebook is brilliant. I do push money into Facebook ads.
Do you?
You know, so once the Sky thing came out and I was able to get a link, you know, I do put a few quid behind that then to push, you know, to push that. We had one video on our Facebook page that has hit, I think it's 35,000 views, you know, over a space of maybe 2 to 3 weeks. Like, that's phenomenal, you know. But I'm involved with all the gardening groups in America, in the UK, in Ireland. So when I do get something, you know, that people are liking and sharing, I'll push it onto the gardening groups. Some of these gardening groups that have 2,000 to 3,000 people in it, and I will push it and push it and push it.
Well, you mentioned there are gardening groups in the USA and places like that. There's obviously huge export potential.
There's a massive export. It's not just a product for Ireland. It is a global product.
Yeah.
Pardon the pun.
Again, just going back to the principle of it. That has been around for
4,000 years.
4,000 donkeys.
Yeah, all your
I suppose
bonsai
4,000
trees.
is longer than donkeys' years. But yet you were the first person to, and that must make you very proud, you were the first person to address that with what, as I suppose, is the case with practically every innovation, a very simple idea.
A very simple idea, absolutely, yeah. And we've had hardened gardeners, 30, 40 years gardening, that come up and they say, Liam, absolutely love it. Great, why didn't I think of it? I've been doing air layering for the last 30 years, why didn't I think of that? Yeah. If it's already been classed as, or put on the same line as the pen or the pitch stick or whatever, you know what I mean? It's so simple, so hopefully, fingers crossed. But going back to the exports to America, we were on Today FM Business Show, isn't it what they call it?
Sunday Business Show.
Yes, the Sunday Business Show. And we had an American girl who was listening to the show, and she rang us up then within a week and said, can we come out and see the whole setup and whatever? And she came out. Lovely girl, Teresa. She's from www.savingthegreen.com. Yeah, she rang up her boss over in America, loved the product, sent over free samples, everything. So they're looking at actually taking the license of the product over to America. They've already taken on Amazon UK and Europe, so you cannot sell Cutting Globe on Amazon UK, Europe. They have the whole license for that. Now, to do that, they have to sell a certain amount of products over the next 2 to 3 years. So hopefully, and they're doing well, so hopefully now that they'll do that for us as well and come back and sign up for another few years and take it to America. Yeah. If they take it to America, they will manufacture, they will do everything over there in America.
To do that, Liam is on easy street for the rest of his life.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't think, as long as I can go out and cut my grass and put my few little globes on my trees and shrubs, I'll be a happy man.
But if it does take off in America, it will become a phenomenal product. Will that leave you more time to either deal with the nursery, or will it give you more time to put your inventor's cap on? Right, there's one topic I've sorted, and I can tell by the glint in your eye, I think you have something else in mind as well.
Well, I think the whole of agriculture and the whole of horticulture are changing. So hydroponics and aquaponics are massive now in Europe and in America, and shortly I think you will probably see it happening here now as well. So we'd love to get involved in that then as well. That's growing plants in water, no soil whatsoever, feeding it then through the water, etc., etc.
Rice paddies, something like that?
Yes, something, absolutely, yeah, but we're on tables, in pipes, so there's no weeding, nothing.
And all the nutrients are in the water.
All the nutrients are in the water. Or with aquaponics, it means that the fish waste is actually being used to fertilize your plants, and then you're getting a quicker plant in 30 days because your roots are not being forced through soil. So 30 days you're actually getting a lovely head of lettuce. It lasts longer because you're actually pulling it out with the roots on it. So it's organic. It's actually got a longer shelf life, about another 7 to 8 days then as well. So, but that's there now at the minute. But I'd just love to get involved a bit more into that then as well.
Yeah. And of course, by the time this kind of picks off, you'll kind of
be
such a wealthy man. You can kind
I don't know about that.
Afford to buy it all. Would your success be a double-edged sword if somebody sends a copy of it over to China?
Yes, that's always going to be, But I would hope at this stage then that our branding, that our Cutting Globe will mean that we will actually have a better product than whatever the Chinese can throw at us. Yeah. And we will try and develop it that a little bit further.
Because it's a quality product.
Yes.
Does what it says in its tin.
Yes.
We've treated them here in a bag, and what did the trade them retailers?
That's the €10 one. That's our starter pack.
That's our starter pack. So for $9.99 or a tenner, we have five globes on it.
1, 2, yeah.
We're coming from Cavan tonight, so I suppose is there anywhere in Cavan you can buy this?
There is. Go on. I had to write it down earlier on. So he's only getting it this week. He's actually having his first stand delivered this week, and it's Tully Vin Garden Centre. in Coot Hill, is it?
In Coot Hill, yeah.
Coot Hill, County
Coot
Cavan.
Hill. So you can buy these in Cavan.
Yes.
If we wanted to buy them on the web, you might
Yes.
tell the camera there how they can get them.
You can get them on the web at www.thecuttingglobe.com. You can get them at www.savingthegreen.com as well if you're in America. And if you're over in the UK, you can get them on www.greenbase.com.
And this is the big pack, a tenner. You have a smaller.
Yeah, we have two mediums in a pack for €5. We've got a big large one then for €5, and we've got 6 small ones in a pack. That'll give you 6 plants, reusable over and over again. So you should get 36 plants a year out of them.
In a matter of weeks,
In a matter
you'll
of
have
6
saved
to
your
8
money.
weeks, absolutely.
You
The
have saved your
first
money.
plant pays for the pack itself.
First man pays back. Well, Liam O'Meara of the Cutting Globe, a fantastic product. As I say, it's great to see an actual physical product in my hand rather than a service.
Yes.
I wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank you very much, Colm.
You've been a
Thank you
wonderful
very much.
guest. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I've been Colm Colgan. You've been watching the Business Enterprise Show where we talk to Liam O'Meara about his invention, the Cutting Globe. Good night. Take care.